All right, all right, all right. Johnny 308. GF bread is gluten-free bread. It's the bread for the bitches. Bitch bread. So anyway, let's get it out of the way. Let's get the 5-minute continuous 5x5s out of the way. I don't think we're going to have an Angry Truth live stream on Rumble. But anyway, Uptech, Evolving Media, thank you for the 5x5. Mississippi Coast, Prep to Adapt, Jordan, Flown Eric, Patrice, Murder Izzard, Raccoon, Groundhog, Joe, FW, Laura, Gregorio, Let's Go, Teresa, Anonymous, Maria, Cowboy, The Real, Dobie, Betty, F You All, Vegan, Amanda, Wallace, Brian, thank you for the 5x5. Mitch, thank you for the 5x5. JF, Adam, Rhonda, Spear, Joanne, thank you for the 5x5. Crow, Jordan, thank you for the 5x5. Kimberly, Simple, The Rooster, thank you for the 5x5. Occult, Gary, Highlander, Henry, thank you for the 5x5. And Pamela, thank you for the 5x5. All right, all right, all right. All right. I am on Rumble. Thank you, Raccoon Eyes, Prep to Adapt, and Maria Jackson. Thank you for the 5x5. All right, so let's get it started. Tonight we're going to talk about Charlie Kirk. Again, but we're going to talk about a couple of things that, or red flags rather, that they jumped out at me. Lori, thank you for the 5x5. Jason, thank you for the heads up. Ed, Krista, WTC, thank you for the 5x5. Peace in the Woods. Rat Rod, thank you for the Rat Rod, thank you for the 5x5. Sorry. Greg, Dan, Renee, thank you for the 5x5. All right. Wolf Mule, thank you for the 5x5. Stacy, what's going on? So, the theories that I have, or not theories, I have one theory about Charlie Kirk. We're going to get into that in a little bit. So, I find it interesting, guys, that Charlie Kirk was at the school talking about trans shooter. Now, I do not know if the school got a syllabus ahead of time, knowing what he was going to talk about or knowing what the subject was. But nonetheless, he's talking about that subject, that particular subject, after we had the last incident where the guy that looked like Rocky Dennis took out a couple of kids in the school. All right, so he's talking about the situation with trans shooters. And so, of course, he gets blasted, and they're trying to tell us that it was possibly a pro-trans supporter. Because the kid that they released, the picture of the kid they released, didn't look trans at all, right? But anyway, that's what they were saying, that he was a pro-trans supporter. And why did they say that? Well, because somehow he engraved it on the side of a casing. Now, I tried to grave shit on the casing a long time ago, and it's hard to do, right? Especially neat in a way that's legible anyway, excuse me. If you have some experience with it, yeah, you're going to get it done. But if you don't, you won't have that clean look to it. So, of course, the shooter does what he does, and he leaves the casing behind, and the FBI come to the conclusion that he is possibly a anti-fascist, pro-trans supporter. All right. The coincidence of that shell being there, or kept there, when a professional hit would have probably taken it with them and not left it there, so that's why, you know... Joseph, thank you for the 5x5. What does 2x4 mean? 2x4 means a log. Charlie had a huge channel on Rumble. I didn't know that. I didn't follow him there. Francie, Jeremy, thank you for the 5x5. Saoirse, thank you for the 5x5 if you're on here. I got it correct because I was told how to say it right this time. Anyway, so I find it interesting, guys, in that the orgy of evidence, which is not possible, right? So anytime you see a bunch of evidence pointing to the direction of the people you want to harm, for example, whenever something went down in the South, if people didn't want to get in trouble, they often blamed it on black folks. This is back in back in the days, when people were like, "Hello, nigger," and I was like, "Hello, sir. I shine your shoes." It was back in those days, right? So, anytime something went wrong, they blamed a black person. Meanwhile, it could have been a drifter. A lot of the times, it was somebody white. All right, but you blame a Negro because it's an easy out, and if whatever you did was really bad and you blamed it on a Negro, he was hanging from the tree the next morning. Emmett Till, right? Case in point. Whistled at a white lady, and they beat the balls off that kid and left him in a creek for a couple of days, if I'm not mistaken. So, again, they blamed it on somebody black, and they got away with that. And that tactic became a thing. I don't shine shoes very well, by the way, just throwing it out there. So that tactic became a legit thing. So now you got this guy who's on a rooftop, takes a shot, takes out his enemy, leaves the round there, and then the FBI is like, oh, he's pro-trans. Okay. What I find very, very interesting is that as he's talking about transgender shooters, Trump, a couple of days prior to that whole event, stated that he wanted to pass a law making it illegal for trans people to own firearms. All right. Mouse and Sister, thank you for the 5x5 on Rumble. Right? And so the coincidence, guys, of Charlie Kirk talking about trans shooters, a trans supporter nailing him, Trump wanting to get rid of or making it illegal for transgenders to own firearms. That's not a coincidence. It's a pattern. So something there isn't right. Can I put my finger on it entirely? No. But there's definitely something involved in it. There's also something else that the orgy of evidence of how they found out this guy was a pro anything. An orgy of evidence, guys, for those that might not know, is a metaphorical term describing an excessive, almost unbelievable amount of evidence that suggests a crime scene was intentionally staged to look like a simple case of guilt, often to mislead the investigators. The excessiveness of the evidence can raise suspicion, as this seems too convenient or illogical to be accidental, leading detectives to believe the evidence was planted to frame someone or to appear as overwhelming guilt. So that doesn't work. Now, they have us misdirected, and they're misdirecting us with the whole pro-trans shit, is that a few years ago, Charlie Kirk talked about Martin Luther King. And in 2015, Charlie Kirk said Martin Luther King was a hero. Okay. 2022, Charlie Kirk, when talking about Martin Luther King again, Charlie Kirk said that Martin Luther King was a civil rights icon. A man could do no wrong. All right. Now, 2023, a year later rolls around, and all of a sudden, Charlie Kirk switched his tune. So, why would he switch his tune so drastically from parading Martin Luther King to being a godson of a hero to, and I quote, not a good man, was awful and not a good guy, That's what was said. And we're supposed to believe that in a year's time, Kirk changed his mind from Martin Luther King being on a pedestal to now him not liking him, not thinking he was a good guy. that means Charlie Kirk came into some information about Martin Luther King. Now, Donald Trump, in his first round, said he was going to release records on Martin Luther King, and then he decided not to do it. But he did it recently in July of this year. But before releasing it this year, they redacted the shit out of it before they released it. So I'm under the impression that Charlie Kirk was going to say something else about Martin Luther King, and there was always other suspicions about the man. And I thought to myself, this is growing up, that Martin Luther King had changed his ideology. The whole "I Have a Dream" speech. Soon after that, Martin Luther King became a separatist. He was no longer wanting to work it out with white folks. Though his speech, as groundbreaking as it was, did heal a lot. But by then, Martin Luther King had already become jaded. And he started changing his mindset. He was carrying a 45 on him at all times. He wanted to become a separatist. He was under the impression that there's nothing that can be done and we can't do anything about it. And there was talk that Martin Luther King might have been a CIA asset. Might have been. Or not a CIA, KGB asset, sorry. That was a theory from a long time ago. Now, a lot of the redacted shit in the Martin Luther King files that were released, someone said that they redacted parts of his files that would have changed our mindset on who he was. Charlie Kirk was always talking about exposing Martin Luther King for who he really is. Now, for you to make a 180, that's wild. From going, he's a hero, to this, trying to expose Martin Luther King. So there was something there. But of course, I don't believe in coincidences. I don't believe in any of this shit. The KGB asset was out there by the CIA. Might have been. The CIA was trying to get rid of him by any means necessary. They were trying to get rid of Malcolm X by any means necessary. But who knows? That's the problem. And for somebody's mindset to call somebody a hero and then the next year doubt them and call them an awful man, something isn't right. Right? Something doesn't sound right. So that was one theory. Again, pure theory. I've read bad things about Martin Luther King. And listen, Martin Luther King wasn't liked. I remember hearing that a few times, that he wasn't liked. He was a bit of a hothead, not as peaceful as he came across. These are the things I heard years ago, before all of this. Malcolm X and him didn't get along. And there was tension, not tension, but him and Malcolm X met one time. They met for like 30 seconds. And Malcolm X didn't like Martin Luther King because he thought Martin Luther King was too soft. Martin Luther King didn't like Malcolm X because he thought Malcolm X was too aggressive. So those two didn't like each other out of the gates. There was too much politics behind the civil rights movement. There were certain people who did you think the video of Trump overly saturated seemed off? Joseph, a lot of people are a lot of people bringing to my attention the whole Trump video where he talked about Charlie Kirk, that he looked off. He looked sick. Almost digitized. But I'll address that later. But anyway, Martin Luther King had his problems. And the civil rights movement was very political. So there were, for example, Rosa Parks. Rosa Parks was not the first woman to sit in the front of the bus. There were numerous people that happened before. One woman in particular, I forgot her name, but I read a book called Shadow of the Panthers. It was about the Black Panther Party. Excellent fucking book if you're into history and the Black Panther. The real Black Panther Party, not this bullshit that's out here now. And they talked about this lady. And she sat in the bus. She was in her early or mid-20s. She sat in the front of the bus because she had enough. She was tired. She was working. She was very pregnant. sat in the front of the bus, said, "I'm not getting up," and they arrested her. Well, the civil rights movement, the Southern Baptist Church movement, whatever it was, they didn't want to use her because she was pregnant without a father in the picture, a dad, a husband. So, because of that, they skipped her. A couple months prior to that lady, a man did the same shit, but apparently he was like a drunk or some shit, so they wanted nothing to do with him in that regard, so they couldn't use him. Rosa Parks was the perfect woman. Had already had a child, was married for a couple of years, was a working woman, well respected in her neighborhood, and so they went with her. And so there was politics even in the civil rights movement. Ugly politics. Right? And so that was a lot of what Martin Luther King was doing, was moving things around to make it look worse than it really was, or to have more sympathy played on people, because Martin Luther King understood how to play the sympathy card, and he did. Right? Rosa Parks implanted. It could have been, or like I said, they just used Rosa Parks because she was the best choice out of everybody else. That is. Rosa was a plant. I've heard that before. I've heard a lot of that before, and I heard that the civil rights movement was part of what they wanted to turn sideways, and it didn't. The CIA, it didn't go in the direction it went in, and I think that's part of the reason why JFK, happened to him what happened to him, if I'm not mistaken. But nonetheless, there's more to this Charlie Kirk shit. Like the plane, for example, another theory, or rumor, excuse me, where there was a plane that took off an hour later. As it's in the air flying north, I think, it goes dark, meaning it's off grid. And as it goes off grid, it disappears for an hour. Comes back an hour later, back on the grid and lands. It's a private jet. The very kind of private jet that you would whisk somebody away if you were trying to hide them. If they find this shooter, I'll be a little surprised. I think the shooter's in the wind, or they're gonna find their scapegoat. It's gonna be somebody not the shooter. We definitely got to see where this is gonna go. But there's way more government stench on this than anything else. So, could somebody answer Keith? What does RNN mean, please? Yeah, the shooter got away, but I think they're not going to find him, is what I'm saying. Especially if he had anything to do with that plane. Like I said, there's so many theories out there. There are too many theories out there. My theory's a little out there. I understand that. I recognize that. But it seems like anytime something or some kind of file is being leaked, they have to keep shit under wraps, and boom, there you go. Yeah, there's way more to this situation. Absolutely. Without a doubt. But a scapegoat is definitely coming. I think so. I think whoever they're going to find is not going to be the shooter. Like not by a long shot. Shooter is gone. Shooter's in the wind. And the longer it takes for them to find the said shooter, the less likely it is they're going to find him. I don't think. No, Laura, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that, I'm not saying that he was sacrificed willingly. I'm just saying that this administration could be involved in it, or at the very least the CIA, or somebody. It's just a little too, there's too many conveniences, and there's too many coincidences. And him getting killed is sparking the anger people want. Like, this is the bottom line. The shooters on the beach on, how about Tahiti? Yeah, but anyway, I don't know, man. So people think it's Israel. Yeah, some people were saying it's Israel. Which, listen, there are other people who said shit about Israel. Going after him wouldn't make sense. Though, he was being groomed to be the next president of the United States. So, there is that. Right? He was being groomed to be the next president of the United States. People liked him. He was very charismatic, as a lot of people said. Carly, yeah, it doesn't matter, but it's a good discussion topic. That's all it is. Can I fucking talk, Carly? Jesus. People are like, don't matter anymore. We have to be ready. You have to be ready for whatever fucking happens, man. Listen, there could be a curveball event ready to sneak up on us, right? Could be the massive earthquake that hit New York City instead of California. That would be devastating. Massive earthquake hit California, sends it right into the ocean. That would be devastating, you know? What we can't do, guys, is we can't mimic the left. We can't be psych patients like them. For example, if something was to happen to AOC, we can't be jumping up and down and acting like fucking and throwing parties. That is not what we're about. And if we are going to do that, you could lose my channel. Because I want no part of being an asshole like the assholes that are being assholes because they are psychologically ill. All right? There's a psychological problem going on and people are losing their shit. That could be a little much, but I mean, anything's possible. They want civil war because they fear revolt. Well, listen, there's only one way that, I mean, they have to, listen, Charlie Kirk could very well start a civil war. I mean, things are getting out of control. Joseph, I had the kids do training when they were younger. They haven't done it in such a long time. They haven't done it in a while. Don't be a douche. Who? Don't be a douche to who? You guys got to finish it. Like, if it's me, say me. If it's somebody else, say somebody else. You know, the don't be a douche and cliffhangers, like, annoying. Yes, Brian, exactly. Exactly. The arm ticket psychosis. I think it's that. There's no reason why people should be like the crazed look in their eye when they talk about the crazed look in their eyes when they're like, yes, for example, the guy who was like, yeah, in the crowd soon after Charlie was hit. They carried him off the stage and a guy gets up. Oh, yes, Laura, exactly. Don't be a douche. But listen, nothing's going to happen to the right, to the left, because we don't do that kind of shit. And for some reason, I think maybe the CIA knows that we don't do that kind of shit. I don't know. But, yeah, it wouldn't happen. And the Democrats or somebody else, the elites, are in charge of this. So they're trying to take out people that's going to get us emotionally upset. They want us, guys, to react and react emotionally. They want our emotions to be running high so that we can do something stupid, like a lot of the left are doing by doing videos and putting those videos on said internet and then getting chewed out when they get to work or fired. Now, that's the best outcome that can happen to these people, that they lose their jobs. That I will agree with. But going after them, beating them up, I mean, granted, if they say some shit in your face like some guy was going to get beat up today, unrelated to this whole Charlie thing, yeah, you get in their face about it, then go to war. But if they don't get in your face, leave it alone. Because they are going to get theirs one way or the other. Who has time for video games? Northern Girl, I do. I don't play often. I play like maybe once a week now. Maybe. Like tonight I might sneak in a couple rounds. But yeah, I'll listen. I find time to work out, play my games, watch movies, and do my work for the YouTube empire. I hate to say it that way, but yeah, I find my what you call it. Which reminds me, I got to release a couple more fitness videos next week. I'm only doing like 2 to 3 a month. Grow food, please. When I get, what you call it, you can't accomplish anything if you're in a jail cell. Full and grown, you're right. That's absolutely right. But, yeah, guys, this thing reeks. CIA, government, somebody's cover up. This doesn't seem right. That's all I'm saying. I could be wrong. It could have been a coup. It could have been a down-the-wall coup. But the route that this person went, I don't know. I don't think it was this guy that they're telling us. No, Ed, I don't troll people on Call of Duty, but I love the banters on Call of Duty. Adam, I was going to try to do an angry film critic, but I've been working, man. I've been working Wednesday nights and Sunday nights because I'm trying to do it those 2 nights. But I am going to do a couple of videos tomorrow. I'm going to do a lot of videos tomorrow night. I'm going to do my first angry film critic video on a couple of movies. I don't know which movie to do it on. I don't know if I should do it on Red Dawn. It's going to be an 80s film, right? Or the Lord of the Ring. Who's the true hero of Lord of the Ring? We discussed that the other night. But I got some fitness videos to put out there, so I got to get back into that. I've just been too busy. Like now that I'm getting down to my my days off next week, I could squeeze in a bunch of videos and get them out there. I just got to be a little more consistent with the fitness channel. But the fitness channel is growing, so that's good. Rob B, the fitness videos are on a different channel. It's the Angry Prepper Fitness channel, which I might be changing the name soon to something a little more fitness friendly, but I'm going to give it a little bit, you know. Do the one on Breaking 1 and 2, yeah. I think that might be my shtick with movies, 80 movies, is rants, you know, with how stupid some of the movie was or how good it was. That might be my shtick with that. And then do movie reviews, right? So I was going to watch Weapons. I'm going to watch Weapons tomorrow night. I know some of you guys said you didn't like it, but tomorrow night I'm going to watch it. Tonight I'm going to edit some videos, probably sneak in a game or two, and then that's it. Not too good of a shot. Oh, on you know what's funny? When you play Call of Duty, you just get better the more you play. That's it. You know, I'm pretty good, but I'm not like some of these kids who could dive and shoot at the same time. I can't do that shit. The angry workouts. Harold, that's not a bad idea. Because Angry Prepper Fitness is fine, but the angry workouts might work because it's a little shorter. But again, when I come to the whole voting thing, we'll entertain it. Falcon 1, yes, Weapons is a movie. But supposedly there's a person of interest that the FBI is looking at, but he could be in the woods, man. He could be in the sticks, or he could be on that plane back in Israel. We don't know, man. There's a lot of things that are being said, a lot of things that are not being said. So, Trump looking sick, that's definitely. I saw a video of him or a screenshot of him. He looked like shit, man. So yeah. Weapons was okay. Planet Angry? No, no Judgment Zone. The Angry Gamer. Yeah, I don't know. Angry Gamer? Get some. I love when they talk shit to each other. It is the funniest thing in the world. I'm sorry. You know, like when the kid's on there, like, fuck you, man. Fuck you. And then a grown man is cursing at the kid. Why don't you get the fuck off and go to bed? It's the funniest thing in the world. The banter is, and I'm the only one on there on the mic laughing my ass off. You know, because I just find it entertaining. Because my brother would tell me about the banters. I'm like, no way is that a real. And then I'm on this shit, and people are bantering. There was a guy on there. He was like, every time I spoke, he was like, nigger. And I was talking to somebody else, like, nigger. And I'm like, all right, so he knows I'm black. So I just started laughing every time he said it. But every time I laughed, he kept saying nigger. So it was a back and forth. It wouldn't stop, you know. The whole game, he was just like, nigger, you know. So I get like, listen, I don't take shit personal. Not on there, you know. Half these people wouldn't say the shit that they say in front of anybody or in person. The shit that I say on here, I say at work, and maybe even worse. And forget about getting in an argument with somebody. I cut them down, and hopefully they cry themselves to sleep when I'm done with them. But that's me. You know, when I get angry, that is. But, you know, like people saying shit like nigger. It was the way he said it, too. It was almost like rhythmic. It was just funny. I can't get upset about shit like that. Because it's a person on some other side of the world on a mic saying dumb shit, man. You can't get upset about shit like that. You know? People said mean shit about when my son passed away. You know, your son's burning in hell. What is it going to do with that? Hunt them down and kill them? Like, that's not a thing, you know? Could I hunt them down? Yes. Am I going to? No. A waste of time. Because it's only going to lead to one place, and I'd rather not go to jail for it. But, you know, people say shit all the time, man. You cannot take it personal, especially on the internet. Someone says it to your face, absolutely, you can take it personal. But someone says it, you know, on a keyboard warrior, you can't get pissed over that. My dad says Trump is having a stroke. He was definitely having a stroke. His face was drooping. That's for sure. Should have called him a cracker. Reese, I could have. Joseph, thank you for the donation. But it was just too funny. It was the way he was saying it. I never heard anybody say it that way before. You know, so I was just like, that is fucking funny. Betty, yeah, most people don't talk shit face to face anymore. That's crazy. All seeing King Knight. Yeah, I had access to getting all that information, but I was just like, nah, for what? You know, again, you're gonna fucking hide behind a keyboard and say that shit. And if I show up, then what? It's a fucking, 8-year-old kid. Am I gonna kick the 8-year-old kid in his dick? Absolutely, I am. But that's not the point. You just don't give them that attention. That's all. Right, so the channel, I'm definitely switching gears on that come next year. We're going to do rocking kettlebells and home workouts. That's it. We're going to talk about walking and the benefits of walking multiple times till it sinks into people's heads. We're going to talk about natural ways of making yourself feel better, right? And then kettlebell work, which is possibly the best way to build muscle. To build a strong fucking, But anyway, with that being said, guys, I'm going to go off the air now. Flown Trump's not having a stroke. His droopy face, one side of his face drooping, it says otherwise. Unless he was having, not cerebral palsy. There's a palsy condition you can have. Bell's palsy, thank you, Martino. You can have Bell's palsy. There could be that as well. Ed Lee, my best lift. I hit the 1,000-pound club. If that makes sense. I got in 1,000 pounds. I forgot what my bench was. 385. No, I'm a liar. It was 375 or 385. I can't remember. My squat was... Fuck. What was my squat? My squat, I can't remember. It was over 425. And my... No... Yes, and my deadlift was 405. My deadlift was weaker than my squat, right? So maybe that didn't put me in the 1,000-pound club. No, because my bench was 385 max, and I ripped almost everything out. Right, so I was over 1,000 pounds. But anyway, yeah, that was my bench back then. Not so much anymore. I take 225 off, and I'm like, oh my God, what happened? It hits me in the chest. I'm fucking struggling, crying and shit for help. That's 225. I did 225 on an incline the other day. I unracked it. I was like, what the fuck is going on? I got it down once, and then I repped it out for 10, but it was the hardest 10 I ever. Before, 2, 3, 5 years ago, I was able to get 10 with no problem. I was struggling, screaming like a bitch trying to get 10 up. I got the 9, I was like, ah, and I was fucking, like screaming and shit. Like, what the fuck's going on, But yeah, it was bad. So, I'm trying to get back there, but it's hard. It's fucking hard. Anyway, other than that, guys, I'm going to go off the air now. I will see you guys next week, unless something happens downtown with this whole Charlie Kirk thing. If there is a Charlie Kirk gathering, happy party kind of bullshit, I'll see if I can live stream it. I am working tomorrow night. So I don't know. We'll see. Not tomorrow night. Saturday night, excuse me. I'm working Saturday night. But if something happens tomorrow night, I'll probably, live stream that bullshit, whatever it might be. But anyway, that being said, good night, guys. Enjoy yourself. I will see you guys Tuesday, if anything, for a double header. and enjoy your weekend. See you later, guys.